doesn't matter.
Let's go. 3 Count Commentaries is on the air. We got to talk about AEW Dynamite from Cardiff, August the 21st. We're also going to do our all-in predictions. We're going to do that at the end of the review. So this is a 2-parter. Let's get into this show. There is news and notes, but they're not really all that important. You know, there's still some whispers about this TV deal. Until it's announced, who cares? I don't care about any more whispers, any more gossiping, any more Tony Khan wearing an HBO Max hat. I don't care about any of these things until it is announced. I do not care. I don't care that Sean Ross Sapp heard that it was going to be double. I don't care that about anything until it is announced. When it is announced, then we can discuss it. As of right now, it is all people teasing and folks getting really excited about nothing. We have nothing to be excited about. So let's just move on and let's get that out of the way. Okie dokie. Mercedes Moné, Britt Baker promo segment. Britt Baker, oh my goodness. She had the boo-boo face. She didn't look like she wanted to be there. She sounded completely and totally unenthused about being here. Mercedes Moné was her usual fake self. I mean, she does not sound realistic, but here is the content of what they said. Mercedes Moné says that she's going to make Britt Baker tap out because she is the future. Then they got into an argument in which Britt Baker says that Mercedes watched her at All In last year before there was a CEO. There was a DMD. Then Mercedes says that people see themselves in Britt Baker. That's why they like her. And says, is Britt Baker really all in? Because she went and got her dentist license or dentistry degree or whatever, just in case things didn't work out with wrestling. But Mercedes herself has been all in since she was 10 years old. And says that Britt Baker doesn't have the guts to go all in. Britt Baker says that not only does she have the guts, but she has the heart and the balls. And that she has always been all in. And said that she at one point in time wanted to be like Mercedes Moné. Even looked up to her, but is proud of being the foundation of AEW. Said that Mercedes Moné was one of 4, while she, Britt Baker, is one of 1. And said that at one point in time, Mercedes Moné made a difference, made it possible for girls like her to be in the main events and things like this. But now she's a smug, arrogant ass who cares more about money than legacy. And she hopes that the passion that Mercedes Moné had when she was 10 years old is still in there, because that's the girl she wants to have a match with. Then there were some more words exchanged before they got into a mini brawl where they weren't supposed to touch each other. So that means Camille had to do some comically bad bumps, which includes a really bad head bounce off the table before taking a crossbody down to the ring. But she actually squashed Mercedes to try to prevent the idea of Britt Baker hitting Mercedes. Instead, she jumped onto Camille, who fell on top of Mercedes. This segment, oh boy, look, I like the line where Britt Baker said, "You are one of 4, I'm one of 1." I like that. That was a good line. That was probably the best line in the whole thing. The second best line in the whole thing was Mercedes asking if Britt is really all in because she went and got her dentistry degree. But that would be better if we didn't use the dentistry degree, but maybe her attitude, saying that she's been missing something since she came back. And she has. Britt Baker has been extremely dry since she came back. She hasn't been her confident self, her cocky self. There's something missing about Britt Baker's performances since she returned. She's not quite a zombie, but she's not far off. She's coming across like somebody who really doesn't want to be there, or who really doesn't want to be in this situation at all. And some people say, oh, it's got to be Mercedes and her creative control or whatever. I don't know about that. I will say this, though. They are really overplaying the hand of Britt Baker being the foundation of AEW and, oh, I was here first and all this. Come on. Come on. I'm tired of hearing about that. I need Britt Baker to come up with some new songs, please. I mean, if you're going to, start playing the hits, you should be old. Like, Ric Flair can play the hits. Undertaker or Hulk Hogan can play the hits. You're Britt goddamn Baker. You've been on TV for 5 years at the most. You can't go and start doing, you can't put out a greatest hits album yet. You got to do something new. You got to do something different. And I'm not feeling anything new or different from Britt Baker, which is strange because Mercedes is trying to do Sasha Banks with a twist. And at least that's somewhat different. But Britt Baker, no, still doing DMD. Ugh. But she is incredibly unenthused. But I did like you were one of four, I was one of one. I like that. Are they teasing that another one of the four will show up? Oh, everybody's whispering. Chris Jericho, he's going to have a match with Tiny Tommy Billington. And he questioned whether he was any good or as good as the original Dynamite Kid and whether he is worthy of carrying the name Dynamite Kid. Who are you anyway? You think just because he's your uncle, you can call yourself Dynamite Kid? This is Jericho engaging in exposition, telling the crowd information about his opponent. But this promo is completely unnecessary. If you know who the Dynamite Kid is, this kid looks just like him. All right? He's small, just like him, minus the steroids. He looks like Tommy Billington when he originally went over to Calgary. I mean, he's small, he's skinny, looks very, very British. And he wasn't terrible. He's just tiny. He's just very, very small, and he's very, very green. He looks like he's been in the business less than 5 years from the looks of things. He's tiny. He's a very small young man. To me, it was almost like, oh, AEW got themselves a little Pete Dunne. They have this, except Pete Dunne, he's been around for a little while. He's a little bit more, I guess you could say, chiseled. But both have that same flat sort of charisma where you don't see any personality out of him. Like, Billington doesn't jump off the page. There was no interaction with the audience at all. No trying to pump the crowd up. No trying to, get people involved with it. Just kind of, meh. I mean, it was weird. It was really weird. But I didn't hate him. I thought his match was too long. I thought Jericho probably gave him too much. But he was trying to showcase him. I'm pretty sure Jericho is one of those guys that looked up to the original Dynamite Kid and was like, hey, I want to give this kid a shot. Like he did with Atlantis Jr. a couple of months ago. He probably thought, hey, it's a good idea for me to go in there and work with him. I'm going to win, clearly, but just to give people a look at him. And there was also some whispers that WWE was interested in signing this kid too, which is a classic WWE move. I think he might have been on Collision or something like that, and then William Regal gave him a call like, Sunshine, would you like to come over to the tryout? Who knows? Tommy Billington lost. He's very small. I mean, it is what it is. Give him some time, I guess. Give us some opportunity to show some personality. I mean, this was just a match. I would imagine there is something underneath all of this. Maybe he's another Charlie Dempsey kind of guy where you need to put him with some other people to be silly. Anyway, after the match, Jericho says that Hook is a stupid bastard, and if he was there in Cardiff, he would beat him up and rip him apart. Hook then came out there and got chokeslammed by Big Bill. The less said about that, the better. With trash. This is the worst thing I've seen since the last worst thing I've seen. Tony Storm versus Saraya. Look, let's pause right here. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Saraya cannot wrestle. All right? She can't go. She's shot to shit. She's cooked. All right? It's over. Whatever they were doing, her and Toni Storm over in that corner, where they was trying to do duck downs and, hop overs, and Toni Storm is moving like a snail, and Saraya is like trying to think her way through this because there's no fluidity in anything that Saraya does. It needed to be stopped. Whoever told her to wrestle, stop it. Stop lying to her. She's not Bryan Danielson. All right? She's not making a huge comeback. She embarrasses herself every time she goes out there. Saraya sucks. She was never that great in the first place, but she was so much better than she is now. And she doesn't even have the personality to carry her through this. She was basically a nothing and nobody in this match. This is the closest thing to a hometown match she was going to have. So 2 years straight in Europe, she got a championship match. She won last year. She lost this time. I was impressed to see she even took a DDT and a power driver in this match. But she did. But this match was terrible. This was terrible. Terrible. That being said, Toni Storm's wearing polka dots, which is very interesting because nobody ever complained about that. People complain when Dusty wore polka dots, but Toni Storm, she can get away with polka dots, huh? Oh, yeah, I heard that Saraya is supposedly leaving AEW. Her contract is going to expire. Oh, she should go back to WWE. To do what? To do what, King? What can she do? She can't really talk. She can't wrestle. What can she do? We should bring her back. What? Wait, what? For what? For what? What's the story you going to be able to tell with this girl who's got a neck made out of Flintstone vitamins? Her neck is fragile. Handle with care. She can't wrestle. It's over, Queen. All right? Just hang it up. She gypped Tony Khan out of like 2 or 3 years of pay. He got to know that by now. She's not elevating anybody. Everything that she's involved with sucks. This sucked. The only thing good about this, outside of Toni Storm being in polka dots, was Toni Storm kissing Harley Cameron. I got my spurs jingling and jangling. Roasted my almonds, must say. After the match, Mariah May attacked Toni Storm, hit her with the shoe, kissed her on the forehead. That was it for them for the evening. Okie dokie. That's fine. Then we get to this incredibly long, winding road that is Will Ospreay and MJF, and there is no way I'm going to be able to truncate this and make it interesting. This thing was probably 10 minutes too long. Way too long. And then Ospreay is... You heard that white dude doing like patois rapping? That's what it sounded like. That's what Will Ospreay talking into a microphone as the crowd is going crazy for him. He's growling into the microphone. I can't understand a goddamn thing he's saying. And yet this thing went on forever. I had to rewatch some of it. And it's so long, I had to rewatch some of it to try to figure out what Will Ospreay was trying to say out of his mouth face. All right? What it seemed to me that Will Ospreay was trying to say is that MJF was a terrible world champion and Tony Khan begged him to sign to AEW so that the main events could finally be good because MJF let everybody down with his terrible matches and that he was jerking off with his best friend and All In last year. And MJF is a great entertainer, but this is pro wrestling, and he is the best in the world when it comes to pro wrestling. So MJF was talking about Tony Khan and Warner Brothers Discovery begging him to come back because Will Ospreay couldn't carry the load. He then found out that was untrue, that MJF needed to come back because Will Ospreay's hands were not as capable as he thought. He said he came back from rehabbing early to save AEW. Then he says he doesn't care about being the feeling. He wants to be the facts. And the facts are he's the youngest, greatest world champion of all time, blah, blah, blah. And Will Ospreay interrupted by saying that MJF is angry at him because it took him 4 years to get over and for people to like him. Where it only took him 4 months and people got over on his matches. And people don't like MJF. And MJF screamed at him, "They loved me until you got here." And then started making it personal. Talking about beating up Will Ospreay in front of his family. Says that Will Ospreay his wife has a child that is not Will's. And that the next child she has isn't going to be Will's either. Now, all of these face-to-face things have a no-contact rule. And Will Ospreay was like, how much is the fine for putting my hands on MJF? And he found out it was 100,000 pounds sterling. $127,000 American. Worth it, bro. And they brawled, and then Will Ospreay got his shit kicked in. Brain busted on the floor. I'm not on the floor, in the middle of the ring. Visual pin by MJF, and that ends the segment. Later on, Danielson gets in Will Ospreay's bloody face, because I think he punched him with the ring, maybe, and told him to do it. Do it. Don't hold back. Do it. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this segment. Started, it was too long. I already said it was too long. MJF being jealous of Will Ospreay stealing his spotlight. That's good. It was buried underneath all of this shit about who's the better wrestler. It's like nobody cares. How did they spend 10 minutes on who's the better wrestler? Oh, they told me to come here because you couldn't handle it. Well, they called me to come back because you couldn't handle it. That takes 60 seconds. How did this get buried into 10 minutes? This was awful. And then when it finally got to something interesting, it was near the end. By God, this took forever. This thing was just straight up boring. I don't know what else to call it. Until MJF snapped about being jealous. You know, the fans loved him until Will Ospreay showed up. Until that part happened, this was a boring segment. They weren't talking about anything. Nobody really cared. They seemed to meander from the subject matter wasn't strong enough or interesting enough to stretch the amount of time they were trying to fill. I simply did not give a damn. But MJF being jealous about Will Ospreay, okay, that's fine, I guess. You know, that being the real impetus for his behavior is kind of like, all right, MJF is once again the petty, small-minded villain that is, you know, it's simple human jealousy, which is understandable. That's perfectly fine. I just wish we didn't have to slog through the rest of that shit in order to get there. Hangman Page is going to be in the Casino Battle Royal, and he says that he's going to run over anybody else who's going to be in it. And then Evil Uno just happened to be there, you know, the Al Bundy of pro wrestling, more like the Homer Simpson, you know, the Fred Flintstone, perhaps. Or maybe even the Barney Rubble. That's probably better. Hey, do you know who else is going to be in there? It just so happens to be that my fat ass is going to be in there. Whoops. Oh, my best good friend Hangman Page just hit me with a chair. Oh, brother. Get the hell out of here with this garbage. Claudio and Kazuchika Okada wrestled to a 20-minute time limit draw for the Continental title. Solid match, but not as great as I would have expected it to be. It felt like a TV match. I wanted to like this, really. I wanted really and truly went into this match with the intention of liking it. But about maybe 5 or 6 minutes in, I was kind of like, I'm struggling. It was missing something. It was missing aggression, a sense of urgency, you know, passion, Just some things missing. These guys can technically do the stuff. But, one of the things we have here is the crowd doesn't have a babyface or a heel. The crowd's like, both these guys, both these guys, both these guys. And there's no sense that they really want somebody to win and somebody to lose. So they're not reacting that way. And that really harms a longer match. Because if you don't have somebody that the fans really want to see win, where does the drama come from? The drama comes from, well, somebody's going to win. Well, in this case, nobody won. So not only do we not have any drama, we don't even have a winner. You have to, simple shit, baby faces and heels. Very, very simple. Why are beyond the fact that these two guys are just wrestling, and there's seemingly no reason to the match existing, except for maybe they're going to try to do a rematch at All In, maybe. But it was fine. It was a fine TV match. I've seen Claudio have these matches on WWE Main Event. I've seen him work these kind of matches in the middle of the show on SmackDown. It didn't feel major. It didn't feel like the sort of match he would have with a guy that everybody assumes is a main event talent. Everybody assumes Okada is main event, one of the greatest of all time. It didn't feel like it here. It just felt like it was okay. The EVPs tease giving Claudio 5 more minutes and then say, no, we changed our minds. The contract says 20 minutes, not 25 minutes. Get out of here. Then they came out to wrestle their match next. Darby Allin and FTR defeated the EVPs and Jack Perry. Jack Perry went somewhat viral on Twitter after it appears that he was welding his own championship belt, that he made that belt, the black one. And I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. Does it make him a better wrestler? No. Does it make him more interesting? Well, it would make him more interesting if he found somehow, was like, building like Thor's hammer or something like that. That might be interesting. But as a pro wrestler, he's still a midget with no charisma. So who cares? Anyway, Darby Allin and the FTR defeated them. The Acclaim came out, called the EVPs princesses, and called the FTR court jesters. Said that they'll win at pay-per-view. Who cares? This is nothing. Nobody cares about this, really. Next, Swerve and Danielson. Swerve came out, said that he's going to hurt Danielson on purpose. Feels disrespectful because Danielson is running around telling everybody he's ready to go, and said that he don't want that. He feels like Danielson is trying to take something from him. But he says he's going to end his career, and he's going to end his career so badly that he's never going to get the itch to wrestle again. And if he ever does get the itch to wrestle, Swerve will be there to make sure it never happens. And then he went through all these different scenarios in which if Danielson even thought about wrestling on an indie show. If you think about being in bed wrestling, he's going to pop up everywhere. Danielson came out there, ran Swerve off, says that Swerve is confused because he's not a talker. He said he knows himself. He knows he's been the best in the world for 20 years. Says that Swerve talked about crippling him. He's going to have to. He's going to have to damn near kill him because he's going to leave his very soul in the ring. Says that he's the American fucking dragon. And he's going to win the AEW world title. Oh, boy. They're trying very, very hard to make Swerve a tough guy and make him the character that he was before. And, the sadistic heel character that everybody enjoyed. But it just all feels off to me. The entire energy of this thing is off. Partially because Danielson has come to grips with retiring and has talked about it endlessly. Oh, yeah, I'm definitely done. I'm definitely out of here. I'm definitely not coming back. And either he's about to pull one hell of a magic trick and win this title and then go on a run of a lifetime, or he basically said, screw this match. Everybody just come see my last match and then that's it. And that seemingly is what they're banking on when it comes to All In is that you will be coming to see the last match of Bryan Danielson. And outside of like this little promo here, there is no belief whatsoever that Danielson is going to win this match. He doesn't seem like he even wants to win this match. And I think part of the buildup being that Danielson is kind of like, yeah, man, it's over. I signed a extension to get through this show, and that's it. And everybody's kind of like, unless this is all elite work that you're doing here, where, you got, and, maybe he don't know he's about to win the title. Maybe he thinks he's going to lose. And then he gets to the building and Tony Khan's like, please take it. Please. But, I don't know. I just don't care. Maybe. I love Danielson. I really do. If it was legit his last match, I would be more excited. And I think if it was legitimately his last match, it would be more exciting. I don't think that Swerve is... Matter of fact, I won't say that. I'm not going to say Swerve is not a reasonable last opponent. It's a decent last opponent. He's the world champion. He deserves something like that on his resume. If you're going to be the world champion, you get to retire a guy. That's great. But it doesn't feel like the last match of a legendary pro wrestler. Compared to what they did with Sting, it doesn't feel like the final go-round for Danielson. Either that or they just lost their touch from what they were doing with Sting. But then again, they had a lot more time to work with when it comes to Sting, I guess. So the show, the Britt Baker, Mercedes Moné segments didn't really do much for me. The talking segments in general didn't really do much for me. And the matches didn't do anything for me because they almost never do in AEW. So it's a big thumbs in the middle show. Outside of Saraya and Toni Storm, which was legitimately bad. It's just bad TV. There was nothing else that really like hurt my feelings. I probably could have used less Tommy Billington, but I know how AEW get down. I know how Chris Jericho get down. Jericho wanted to, do a favor for, the old Calgary kid or whatever. So that's fine. Somebody who's a friend of the family, I guess you could say. But the rest of this stuff, big old thumbs in the middle. And I probably only watched like 2 minutes of that FTR EVPs thing. And I'm not interested at all in the match that they're going to have at the pay-per-view. So speaking of that pay-per-view, let's get into All in London. All right, let's do our usual. We're going to take a look at what the attendance is for this show, at least the estimated attendance at time of recording. 50,000 tickets, according to WrestleTix. This was a couple of hours ago. All in London, 2004 Sunday, August 25th, Wembley Stadium in London, England. They have 3,000, almost 4,000 tickets remaining. The current setup is for 53,000. They have about 50,000. They did, what was this? They said 70 or 80,000 last year. So about it's a significant drop. It's a pretty significant drop. There was a lot of discussion about, the return on investment of this show. Look, even if they do 45,000 or whatever, that's still a lot of people for AEW. And we should not, scoff at that. The idea of people scoffing at 42,000, like, who the hell are you to scoff at all those people in one building for a show? Yes, AEW is cold. We all know that. But if they pull 40 some odd thousand people, there's going to be a lot of empty seats in that building, but that's still a lot of people. All right. 40,000 is a lot. Nobody else is pulling in 40,000 people. That's still a lot of people. Now, the real conversation is going to be once we get that drop count, which will probably be a couple of weeks where we figure out how many people actually came in the turnstile, which probably will not be 50,000 people. A sellout for them would be 53,000. Some people think they're going to get up to 60, but those are tickets distributed. I don't know how many people are going to be in the building. My guess is it's going to be around 45,000, maybe 48,000 in the building. So whatever number they announce in terms of tickets sold, I'm not going to pay it any attention. I don't care that much about attendance anyway. It's just something I decided to talk about because it's a part of the show now. And I'm forced to talk about things that I don't really care about. As long as the building is not empty, thumbs up. 40,000 people in a 90,000 seat arena. It's still better than what I would expect. But that's why you can tell the pivot to put Danielson's career on the line probably helped them a lot. And, booking MJF and Ospreay versus each other probably helped a lot. The rest of this card, though, and it is a massive 10-match card. And it's probably not even done because you still got Rampage and Collision that are going to occur after I record this. So who knows what they're going to put on this show afterwards. But for now, there's 10 matches. And the pre-show is 2 of them damn things called hours. All right. This is gonna hurt. This is gonna hurt. Let's get into it. Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway versus Willow Nightingale and Tomohiro Ishii. They can all blow chunks. I like Willow. I like Chris Statlander. Don't give no fucks about any of this. But there's a stipulation. It says the winning team will choose the stipulation of the match between Willow Nightingale and Statlander at All Out. Okay. At least there's a reason for this thing to happen, I suppose. Didn't Statlander win the last match? Shouldn't she get to pick the... Oh, never mind. I don't care. Timeless Toni Storm versus the Glamour Mariah May for the AEW Women's World Championship. This has been the strongest story going into the show. They did a really great job of building this up for several months. The initial turn was very, very hot. It's cooled down a little bit since then. It went from being probably a 9 down to somewhere near a 6 on the heat scale. But part of it has been Toni Storm going from whacked out, crazy, to back to herself. Like, she was herself again on this show. But she had like slick back hair and running makeup and stuff like that for like several weeks. And now that's just over. That's just done. She's not doing that anymore. But they put so much effort into this that I'm actually looking forward to it. And I do expect Mariah May to win. Mariah May is British. They're going to be in England. At least I think she's British. Let me check. I think she is. Yeah, she's from London. So she's going to win the title at her hometown. It's not going to hurt Toni at all. Toni's been champion for a long time now. And it's going to make a new star. That would generally be the idea, and it would complete the story. So Mariah May is going to win. I don't have a problem with that. The question will be, once Mariah May has the title, then what? And if you beat Mariah May, she's not dead if you beat her, but it doesn't do her any favors. You're better off having Toni win. And I would imagine that Mina Shirakawa is going to help Mariah May win so that this story can continue. Because if you give Mariah May a clean win over Toni, and I notice, AEW, they pride themselves over clean wins all the time. The win doesn't need to be clean. I hate to break it to you. You can cheat. In order to keep the storyline going, you can cheat. But I would expect, and I would personally book Mina Shirakawa to help Mariah May win the title, just so Toni Storm could chase Mariah May for a short time, have to go through Mina to get to her. Maybe you book. Wait, I think Toni has already beaten Mina Shirakawa, though. That's an interesting situation. Because, yeah, she beat her at Forbidden Door, I think. So, I don't know. Maybe, were there other girls in the Stardom thing with them you could bring over to help? I don't know. I'm trying to help Tony Khan out. Mariah May is going to win the title. From there, who cares? Jack Perry versus Darby Allin coffin match, AEW TNT Championship. Jack Perry versus Darby Allin. This is the first time they've ever wrestled, and it's going to be in a coffin match. I truly believe Darby Allin is only in this match to do crash and burn spots. He's not going to win this title. There's been some whispers that Darby Allin is likely going to win the world championship soon. I don't know. It was just like a random tweet that I saw that was attributed to one of the wrestling websites. I take it with a grain of salt. But some people are truly pitching the idea that Swerve is going to end up dropping the belt to Darby or something like that. That would be interesting. But then, of course, that would mean that Darby's not going to win here. So, I don't expect Darby to win. I expect Jack Perry to get some help and for him to win. Or maybe Darby just crashes and burns and Jack Perry wins. The Casino Gauntlet match for a future AEW World Championship match. It is Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, Hangman Adam Page, Evil Uno, and 17 more to be announced. Clearly, one of these people will be Ricochet. And if Ricochet does not win this match, there is a mistake made. Somebody is brain dead if Ricochet is not in this match and is not winning it. There will literally be no other reason for you to bring him in. Because part of the reason you would bring him to AEW is to have the matches with Swerve that he was having before. And to have the matches with Will Ospreay that he was having before. And if you're going to lose Danielson, but gain Ricochet, for some people, that's a downgrade. But Ricochet is younger than Danielson. He's, fresher. He hasn't had that main event run like Danielson has. Danielson has had his main event runs before. And so he's going to be a fresh face in the main event. He could be very, very interesting. You can see what WWE was holding back. But if they just decide that Orange Cassidy or Hangman Page is going to win this match, it would go to show that Tony Khan is not thinking. He's not a thinking man. I would imagine. Ricochet is in this match. Ricochet wins this match. Maybe he doesn't win the title. Or at the very least, he challenges for the title at Grand Slam. Because that Grand Slam show is suffering from what I see. I saw the ticket sold for that show. That show is suffering. And if you can book perhaps Swerve versus Ricochet in New York for Grand Slam, even if Ricochet loses, that would be big. And it would be almost the equivalent of when Danielson came in at the end of All Out, 2021, and immediately got a match with Kenny Omega. Just recreate that. I really want Ricochet to get all the opportunities he never got in WWE. I know he wrestled a couple of main events in WWE, but he was never really given the ball. In AEW, the bar is so low, he doesn't really need to know how to talk. He doesn't have to do more than what he was already doing. Just give him the ball. Let's see how it goes. He's a new star. Even if you do time limit draw or something like that, do something to make this guy matter. Start out with him winning this match. Start out with Ricochet winning this match. If anybody other than Ricochet wins this match, and it's not John fucking Cena, you have failed. I don't care who else it is. I don't care if it's you. Oh, Jay White? No, Jay White can't win. You've already run Jay White into the ground. It could be Adam Cole. No, you've already run Adam Cole into the ground. You've already run Miro into the ground. No, Ricochet needs to win this match. Ricochet, and only Ricochet, should win this match. You literally don't have anybody else. Next, Chris Jericho versus Hook. Last chance match for the FTW title. If Hook loses, he can never challenge for the FTW championship for as long as Jericho is champion. I hope Jericho wins this match and then melts this belt and we never see it again. That'll never happen. But I'm hoping that it happens. I don't care about this. This is a pre-show match. Hook is a terrible promo. I was sitting back waiting for him to, you took my eye, Chris. I can see just fine, Chris. Garbage. Hook killed his mystique with that. Man, never has one promo done so much damage to a person's career as that one promo has done to Hook. I don't care whether he wins or not. I don't give a shit. Next, 3-way tag team match for the AEW World Tag Team title. The EVPs, the Young Bucks versus FTR versus the Acclaimed. Oh, this is boring. This is going to put me to sleep. This sucks. I don't care who wins. I really don't care. The Acclaimed are heels now? I'm surprised by that. Why are they heels? FTR, still there. Just doing nothing. Just present. Guess it's time to earn your paycheck. And the Young Bucks, who are the worst of the three. I would be more excited if this was FTR versus the Acclaimed. I don't care who wins. Let's just go with the Acclaimed. How about that? The Acclaimed should win because at least they're a fresh face in the main event of tag team wrestling. But are they really a fresh face if they've been around forever? There's no heat to this. I don't even understand why these guys are beefing. I don't care. Tag team titles, I don't care. Trios championships, 4-way ladder match. A what? How many people is in this fucking match? 12? There's 12 people in this match? Christian Cage, Killswitch, and Nick Wayne versus Juice Robinson, Austin and Colton Gunn versus Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews versus Pac and Claudio and Wheeler Yuta. When was Pac and Claudio and Wheeler Yuta? When did they team up? Why is this happening? I thought Claudio was wrestling Okada. What? Somebody help me, please. Somebody call the police. Why is this happening? Why is Pac and Claudio on teams? I have never seen them team up ever. Why is Wheeler Yuta on pay-per-view? Why is any of this happening? At least there's some level of storyline between Christian's team and Juice Robinson's team. I'm not sure why Malachi Black's team is there. Oh my God. Oh, have mercy. Well, we know that Pac and Claudio's team is not winning. Malachi Black, he's just running down the clock. He's just taking a knee. Pretty much every time you see him, he's just showing up so he won't get fined. So the best options, I guess, are the Gun Boys, the Bang Bang Gang, or the Patriarchy, which would be Christian's team. I would imagine that the Bang Bang Gang are going to win. These titles don't matter. These are collision ass belts, man. Most of these guys don't even appear on Dynamite, really. This is a collision ass situation here. It's a 12-man ladder match. That's ungodly. Ungodly. Why would you book this? I guess you didn't have much of a choice. Next, Mercedes Moné versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, the AEW TBS Championship. Okay, since Mercedes Moné is a heel and she has a bodyguard, safe to say she should probably win. All right. Britt Baker has the shit face for a reason. You know, she's looking unenthused. She sounds unenthused. That's for a reason. Something tells me that she's not going to get her way on this. But I don't see what Mercedes can do once she beats Britt Baker. I guess Thunder Rosa would be next, right? That would be the only one that you can think of that'll be next. She's already beaten Hikaru Shida. Somebody like Deonna Purrazzo is probably not nowhere on her radar. Same thing could be said for like Taya Valkyrie. Those are basically TV opponents. In terms of main event level opponents, I guess, or top level opponents, Thunder Rosa will be the only one. I don't know if Julia Hart can even wrestle, and even show she's super green. So I don't know. Where's Sky Blue been? Maybe Sky Blue. I don't know. I know Anna Jay is in Japan. Maybe you do something slick and you bring Athena up. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how you, because this is probably the highest level feud you can do in the women's division right now. Because these are the two, biggest female stars right now, is Mercedes and Britt Baker. And somebody's got to lose. I would imagine Britt Baker's going to be the one to lose. She's going to be fed to Mercedes. She's not going to be happy about that. And Mercedes will likely, if I had to pitch a guess, her next real feud is going to be Thunder Rosa. So maybe you swap Britt Baker and you move her over to Mariah May. And after this, Mercedes moves on to Thunder Rosa or whatever. I just don't see that she doesn't need to lose, but she also doesn't need to win. So it's hard to tell which direction they're going to go in. But I would imagine Mercedes is going to win. And especially from the attitude that Britt Baker has lately, I got a feeling that Mercedes is going to win. All right. Will Ospreay versus MJF, AEW American Championship, a.k.a. government name, International Championship. Okay, brothers. Will Ospreay is going to win this title. It goes without question. MJF only got this belt because Swerve whined and cried to become the world champion, and they gave him the belt. It would have been so much more fun if he wasn't a whiner and a crybaby who kept talking about, I need to be the world champion. I want to be the first black world champion. I need to be the first black world champion. Wouldn't it be great if I was the first black world champion? Don't you think it was a good idea for me to be the whole black world champion? If not, Will Ospreay probably would be going into Wembley wrestling for the world title. But instead, he's wrestling for the American title. I expect him to win it. I expect Will Ospreay to win this title. MJF don't need it. And Will Ospreay just lost to Swerve. And he actually just lost to MJF too. So they're going to try to build him back up. There's no doubt that there's going to be a push for Will Ospreay to become the world champion. There's just no doubt about that. It's all about time and place. But until then, you could give him this belt and he could use it like a workhorse belt. And I would imagine that's going to be the case. MJF doesn't need a title at all. And if you do something slick, like, I don't know, making Danielson the world champion, you could always have MJF wrestle Danielson and win the belt back or something. I think MJF just having this mid-card belt was only for this show. I don't think he's going to be the American International Champion or whatever for the foreseeable future. So Will Ospreay. Main event of the evening, title versus career, Swerve Strickland versus Bryan Danielson. Danielson should win. Just for the lineage, he should win. Even if they strip him of the title 3 days later because he retired and he refuses to come back, he needs to win the title. Swerve, whatever, I think him being the champion as long as he has been is a complete fluke. That's why things have been weird with him and they had to rush and turn him heel. I think trying to placate to certain people's egos and personalities have ruined that title run. Because something tells me that, again, this was supposed to be Ospreay versus Swerve. But then they found out Danielson's probably going to retire and they decided, okay, let's put him in the main event. When you really didn't need to do that. You could have just put Danielson against somebody, build it as Danielson's final match, and called it a day. But I'm gonna go with Swerve winning because it's the right thing to do. If Danielson's not going to wrestle anymore, it's the right thing to have Swerve win. But the title lineage needs Danielson on it, and he probably should have won it a while back, but he's been pushing it off. I think that if you're Tony Khan, you tell him, look, I don't care how we do it. You're getting this belt. If I have to take it from you 2 days later and then do something freaky at the All Out pay-per-view in order to get a new world champion, that's what we'll do. But you're going to win this belt and you're going to carry it, at least into retirement. And then maybe they do some kind of Summer of Danielson thing where who knows who wins the world title, and then Danielson shows back up with it. I'm the real world champion, and then that guy beats Danielson and becomes the undisputed world champion, and then Danielson can retire for good. You squeeze one more out of there. Just use the Summer of Punk idea. Squeeze one more pay-per-view match out of there. Not at All Out, but maybe whatever pay-per-view is after All Out. Maybe World's End or something. Because I do know that WWE is running a house show the same weekend that they're running World's End. And if you really want to counter-program WWE, what I would do, I would have Danielson win the title here. Yeah? Then have him cough up the title at Wednesday and say, I said I was going to retire and I meant it. And he puts the belt down and he leaves. They set up a tournament or a battle royal or whatever at All Out. That winner wrestles Ricochet at Grand Slam. Whatever you do there, when you get to World's End, which is in December, it's December the 29th, because I think that's the same day as the WWE house show. You have, right, like a couple of weeks before that, you have whoever the world champion is in the ring, and then Danielson shows up, says that I am still the world champion. You are not the undisputed world champion. You versus me one more time at World's End. That's how you counter-program the WWE show. Instead of crying about it, because there ain't nothing you could do about it. And thanks to Meltzer Says What, he actually looked it up and saw that WWE's Christmas show in Florida is almost always in Florida, by the way. And it's almost always that weekend. So it's like the 27th, the 28th, the 29th, or whatever. So, and this has been like the past couple of years. So it's not like they purposefully chose that weekend, but they could have purposely chose not to. But why would they do that? If there's more than one Burger King in a city, there could be more than one wrestling show, right? But if you're really concerned about WWE running a house show that weekend, book a show that they can't counter program. That's how you win the war. WWE want to play stupid games. They want to counter program. Okay, you show them. You bring out your big guns. You throw it all at that World's End show. You book a storyline that people will be interested in. Where people, if they have money in their hand and they say, oh, well, World's End's this way and a non-canon house show is this way. What are we going to do? Well, we know for sure that WWE house show is not likely to have Roman Reigns, The Rock, or John Cena at that show. And so it's probably going to be Cody Rhodes versus Carmelo Hayes or something on that damn show. Nobody's going to care about it. It might be fun, but you have a pay-per-view, which means something substantial can happen on your show. And if you can cultivate that, knowing that they're going to be counter-programming you, and they're not going to do something at that show that's drastic. They're not going to switch a title or anything like that. That would be a kick in the nuts. Like, imagine if they did something slick, like, goddamn Jey Uso won a title or something at a house show just to stomp on your pay-per-view. That would be a kick in the balls. They're not going to do anything like that, though, because Triple H is not that kind of booker. He doesn't have those kind of killer instincts. I, on the other hand, probably would threaten to switch the fucking title at a house show right down the street, because you can switch it back the next night and nobody cares. It's pro wrestling, right? So since Triple H doesn't have no killer instinct, it's just a house show, you'll be fine. Book a strong card, especially at the top, and you'll be just fine. You may get hurt a little bit on the attendance. You may get hurt a little bit on the pay-per-view buys, but it won't be a bloodbath if you don't book garbage. If you book garbage like you did with that Continental thing that nobody cared about 2 minutes after it ended, like the bell rang and then nobody cared about anything that happened afterwards. If you book some shit like that, that house show is going to eat your ass. But if you book something sweet, something cool, something fresh, then you might be able to survive that evening and do something interesting for your audience, which is the plan. So I would go with Danielson winning, personally. But business would say Swerve should win. And retire Danielson. Danielson goes away. We probably see him wrestle once or twice a year until he eventually turns to dust. But he's ready to go. And I truly believe that. He's talking about it too much. All right. So let's go through one more time what my predictions are. Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale's mixed tag team match. I'm going to go with Statlander, even though I don't care. Mariah May to win the women's championship. Will Ospreay to win the American title. Jack Perry to retain the TNT championship. Mercedes Moné to win and retain the AEW women's championship, TBS title, I'm sorry. Ricochet to win the Casino Gauntlet Battle Royal. If anybody other than Ricochet wins, Tony Khan is retarded. I don't care if it's John Moxley, who is such a big star. You're retarded. Ricochet should win this match. Chris Jericho to win the last chance match. The Acclaimed to win the tag team titles. Christian's team, the Patriarchy, to win the trios titles. And Swerve Strickland to remain the AEW World Champion. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
No one does it better.